Donald Trump just turned on the entire Republican Party, so get ready. 4th of July fireworks are coming early this year. Brace yourselves. I'm David Reddish. Welcome back to Occupy Democrats. Before we get to this breaking story, we need to take a step back to the Obama years. That was when the United States debt ceiling first became a public buzz term. First established in 1917, the debt ceiling essentially places a limit on how much money the U.S. can issue on credit. For most of a century, it was looked at as an abstract amount. That changed in 2011.
The latest on the debt standoff. And finally, the Speaker of the House deciding to crack the whip as the clock shows 5 days until the deadline. House Speaker John Boehner unleashed a tirade against members of his own party, Tea Party Republicans, who have been blocking action. Will it work? ABC's John Carl on Capitol Hill tonight. Tell us about it, John.
Diane, this is John Boehner's biggest test as Speaker of the House. He's got to convince those Tea Party Republicans to support his plan to raise the debt ceiling.
John Boehner is cracking the whip. He convened a meeting of all 240 House Republicans today. Sources who were there tell ABC he had a blunt message for Tea Partiers. Get your ass in line, he said. I can't do this job unless you are behind me.
In case you don't remember how that little episode ended, Congress did raise the debt ceiling at the last minute, just 2 days before we would have hit our limit. At that point, the government would no longer be able to pay for anything. The crisis was averted, but still caused major damage. The credit rating agency Standard & Poor downgraded the credit rating of the United States for the first time in history, and both President Obama and Republican lawmakers saw their approval ratings drop. Now, you need to keep all this in mind to understand our breaking story. It's important, so stay with me here. The Trump era, however, saw the GOP change its tune. Republicans who controlled the House and the Senate prioritized tax cuts over a balanced budget and raised or suspended the debt ceiling 3 different times during Trump's first term. By 2023, their cries had changed again, pushing for massive spending cuts and holding the nation hostage by not raising the debt ceiling.
Just days before a potential default, Speaker Kevin McCarthy announcing Saturday House Republicans and the White House have reached a tentative deal. Sources tell ABC News the agreement is a 2-year budget deal that would also separately raise the nation's debt limit for 2 years.
It's important to note that the debt deal severely damaged Kevin McCarthy's standing within the Republican Party and would lead, at least in part, to his ouster later that same year. It also kicked the can down the road to 2025. We are expected to hit the debt limit sometime in the next few months. Which brings us to today's breaking story. One that would make Tea Party Republicans and budget hawks drop dead. As you know, Donald Trump's budget abomination has stalled in the Senate. The bill would allow for massive tax cuts to the wealthiest 0.5% of Americans and cut spending on important government programs like Medicaid and Medicare. It would also add $2.4 trillion to the national debt to do so. Hence, budget hawk senators such as Rand Paul and Ron Johnson have vowed to kill the bill in the Senate. Here's how Trump responded this morning. I am very pleased to announce that after all of these years, I agree with Senator Elizabeth Warren on something. The debt limit should be entirely scrapped to prevent an economic catastrophe. It is too devastating to be put in the hands of political people that may want to use it despite the horrendous effect it could have on our country and, indirectly, even the world. As to Senator Warren's second statement on the $4 trillion, I like that also, but it would have to be done over a period of time as short as possible. Let's get together, Republican and Democrat, and yes, a Republican president just called for the end to the debt ceiling entirely. That would remove all limits on government spending in the United States in perpetuity. And believe it or not, Trump's suggestion really isn't all that radical. A number of financial theorists and analysts have noted that the economic system works differently today rather than it did 100 years ago. The debt ceiling has become little more than a way for the Republican Party to hold the country hostage in an effort to get Democrats to compromise on key programs. But that's not why Trump wants to kill the debt ceiling. He wants to get rid of it to pass tax cuts on himself and his billionaire friends. And he may have just totally destroyed any chance he has at getting his budget to pass. Removal of the debt ceiling would have to pass both chambers of Congress, and the same senators who are currently opposed to the budget bill would likely vote against removing the debt ceiling for the same reason. But more importantly, Trump just widened the rift between himself and his party. The last time this happened, it caused Kevin McCarthy to lose his job. So if the Republicans won't rally to Trump over his stance on debt, where will he go for support? Donald Trump's administration is on life support, and it hasn't even been more than 150 days. So stay tuned. I smell chaos for the Republicans on the horizon. This is Occupy Democrats.